Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into something that affects pretty much every single one of us: supply chains.
Yeah. And you know those times when you go to the store and the shelves are empty?
Yep.
Or you're waiting forever for that online order to ship?
Ugh, tell me about it. Well, those are often signs of a supply chain hiccup. And in a world that's more interconnected than ever, those hiccups can quickly turn into major headaches.
Right, exactly.
So, to help us navigate these tricky waters, we're turning to Masood Khan and his insightful podcast, Supply Chain Savvy. Specifically, we're looking at his episode on risk management strategies, which is packed with great advice.
Definitely.
So, if you're ready to become a supply chain ninja, buckle up.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about why understanding supply chains even matters.
Yeah,
We kind of take them for granted, right? Like magic, products just appear on shelves.
totally. But the reality is far more complex. We often only think about the final product, but there's this whole hidden world behind it.
Exactly. And it's not just about the stuff, but also the people, the processes, the transportation, everything involved in getting a product from point A to point B. And Khan really hits the nail on the head in this podcast.
So true.
He talks about how important it is to know every single link in your supply chain. And he's not just talking about your direct suppliers. It's about going deeper, like way deeper.
Yeah, it's like you might know who makes your shirts, but do you know where they get their cotton? Or who spins the thread?
Exactly. And that's what Khan calls supply chain mapping. It's like creating this big, detailed map of your entire supply chain. It's not just about roads and cities, though. It's about every single step in the process.
Okay, so it's about getting granular, getting into the nitty-gritty details, but how does that actually help manage risk?
So imagine you're a coffee company. You know where you source your beans from, but have you ever thought about what could disrupt that?
Like a bad harvest.
Exactly. Or political instability in that region. Maybe even something as simple as a transportation strike.
Oh, wow, I see your point.
By mapping out your supply chain, you can pinpoint those potential vulnerabilities, those weak links that could disrupt your flow.
Right, it's like having X-ray vision into your own operations.
And once you can see the risks, you can start planning for them, right? Like maybe you diversify your sourcing or find backup suppliers.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, but it sounds like a lot of work.
It can be,
Yeah.
but Khan talks about how technology can be a game changer here. Think data analytics, real-time tracking, all that good stuff.
So instead of just reacting to problems, you can anticipate them, like having a crystal ball.
Pretty much. There's software now that can analyze all sorts of data weather patterns, shipping routes, even social media sentiment.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it can flag potential disruptions before they even happen, giving you a heads up to adjust your game plan.
That's pretty incredible. Talk about staying ahead of the curve.
Right. And another thing Khan emphasizes is the importance of really scrutinizing your suppliers. It's like, don't just take their word for it, do your homework.
Right, like a background check, but for your business partners.
Exactly. Are they financially stable? Do they share your values on things like ethical sourcing and sustainability? These questions matter.
Totally. Because a problem with your supplier can quickly become your problem, right?
100%.
Yeah,
And it's not just about ticking boxes. It's about finding partners who are aligned with your long-term goals and values.
that's such a good point. Because a strong, reliable supplier can make all the difference. But let's be real, sometimes things go wrong no matter how much you prepare.
Absolutely. That's where contingency planning comes in. Khan is a huge advocate for this, and I totally agree with him.
Yeah, like the old saying goes, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Exactly. So ask yourself, what's our plan B if our main supplier goes down? Or what if a natural disaster shuts down a key port?
It's all about having backup options, right?
Right. Maybe it's diversifying your suppliers or having alternative shipping routes mapped out. The key is to think ahead and have a plan in place.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little less stressed about potential supply chain chaos. But there's one more thing Khan mentions that I wanted to touch on: insurance.
Oh, that's a big one. Many businesses overlook insurance when it comes to supply chain risks.
Really? Why is that?
I think it's because they don't realize how much is at stake financially when things go wrong.
And that there are specific types of insurance to cover supply chain disruptions?
Precisely. There's insurance for things like supplier delays, shipment problems, even political instability in certain regions.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. It's about finding the right coverage for your specific needs.
That's great advice. So much good stuff to think about here. But if our listeners take away just one thing from our deep dive today, what should it be?
I'd say proactive thinking is key. Don't wait for a crisis to happen. Start mapping your supply chain, building relationships with reliable partners, and create those contingency plans.
And don't forget about insurance.
Absolutely. It's an investment worth considering.
Great insights. So to all our listeners out there, keep Khan's wisdom in mind and stay ahead of the game. And hey, here's something to ponder. With all the crazy technological advances happening, what do you think the future holds for supply chain management? Let us know your thoughts, and until next time, happy diving.